What's the biggest temptation to tax right now? Marcellus Shale. Wow, there's a lot of money out there. Let's go get that money before we do anything to cut our spending. And it would be the wrong thing to do. And am I taking heat about my position? Sure I am. But I think I'm going to justify it to you right now. Let's suppose that this hotel built another hotel in another location. Beautiful hotel. Decorated, furnished it, but business is slow. People just aren't coming. Would you raise the price? Of course not. You would lower the price to attract the business. We need to do the same thing to businesses that want to start up in Pennsylvania and want to move to Pennsylvania. So the last thing I'm going to do is raise the cost of doing business in Pennsylvania. I'll give you another example. How many of you know what a KOZ is? We already have them in Pennsylvania. It gives businesses a 10-year tax break, tax-free, for businesses that bring jobs to Pennsylvania. Okay, pretty good idea, right? I'm not going to ask if any of you are taking advantage of Keystone Opportunity Zone, but if you are, I want you to really think about this. They really into an opportunity zone. There's a husband and wife in Lycoming County. I was there the other day, about a week and a half ago. They started a welding business a few years ago, before the Marcellus. And then the last year, they've moved up to 150 people doing welding, not only for the nuclear industry, but welding for the natural gas industry that was a company or a business that they had no business from before because it didn't exist. They're opening another branch over in Bradford County. In Scranton, one individual told me that his engineering business during the recession dropped. Today, he's hiring people to do the surveying and engineering and the environmental work for Marcellus. Another company called Laser Midstream is building a $150 million pipeline project. 10 miles of that's actually going into New York State because they stopped drilling up there, and we're going to be selling the gas up there. If you talk to the farmers, pretty big farming community here in Lebanon County. Unfortunately, you're not on top of Marcellus. But if you go up into the regions that are on top of Marcellus, those family farms, which were, as you know, endangered, how hard is it to farm? Which are generating new wealth for their owners, because of the royalties. The gas companies arrive, they have workers there, and the farmers are paid good royalties for the gas. Now are now buying equipment. They're buying farming equipment, which is stimulating the economy there, helping that farm dealer, an equipment dealer, be able to continue his people in employment and grow. And you are seeing it throughout that region. An area of Pennsylvania that has been devastated for the last few decades is now coming back. And isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? In the midst of all this, you need to keep in mind the natural gas, though, is selling at $4 per million BTU. Actually, it's going up a little bit. It's about $4.50. It's a low point in its price. The drillers can drill now, create the jobs, and set up their headquarters here, and build the infrastructure, or they can wait, because they've got the leases. Everybody says to me, well, they're not going to go anywhere, the gas is here. Yes, it is. And it's in Ohio, and it's in West Virginia, and it's in Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Wyoming, other areas. It's in Canada, and it's around the world. And you all know from being in business that you are going to go and work with the best, you get the best price, the best value for your work, the best profit. They don't have to stay in Pennsylvania. Capital is mobile. You all know that. That money can move. The equipment can move. And I think if you look at either the Patriot today or the Philadelphia Inquirer, there's a story about the price of gas, fuel for your cars. And I just looked at the headlines, so I didn't read the whole story. But it talked about, is that price increase caused by the fact that there was a moratorium in the Gulf after the BP spill and the equipment moved. So when the equipment moves, it doesn't come back right away. And so you're creating this atmosphere. And we are in, what about my recession? We are in a recession. They're coming out of it. The last thing we want to do is say businesses, you come back when it's better. When they're employing more and more people. The other issue is, even if we did the tax that Governor Rendell wanted to do, at best, it was $200 million. At best. Remember that mountain of cash. I want to nurture the industry, and everybody says, I do it because the industry contributed funds to my campaign. Yes, they did. Absolutely. You have to ask them why. But I think it's because I have a vision of where we're going to take this industry for jobs, for our future, and for our children in the future. Really, if you think about it, it's an enterprise zone in this area. We can generate business that creates permanent wealth. Not just stimulus wealth, permanent wealth. We create a revenue stream. Representative Payne, to that pre-recession period, or even the beginning of the recession. If an industry would have walked in the door and said, we will employ 18,000 people and generate $1 billion in wages and salary, would you have said, yeah, I'll give you a Keystone Opportunity Zone, and I won't tax you for the next 10 years? In a heartbeat. That's not what we're doing. People say, we got to tax that because there's a lot of money there. Why? Because we have a hole in the budget. Not from good strategy, not from good planning. Why? Because we have a hole in the budget. We would probably be clamoring for state and local governments. The industry would be asking state and local governments for grants of all sorts of tax abatements. We've seen it with Keystone Opportunity Zones. They would be asking for, and we would give them training dollars to get people trained. And we call the lawyers and ask them about eminent domain to go in and take the land to be able to do it. First two bars show revenue that the state received from the sales and use taxes. Who says they don't pay taxes? From the sales and use taxes from the Marcellus Shale. We got $44 million in 2000, actually we got $27 million in 2009, $44 million in 2010, next year. Take a look at the next two books. 2011, 10, 11, 2015, 16. The past fiscal year, let's comment. We believe we're going to have $64 million from our gas royalties, from the land that the state owns. It's a little bit. But by 2015 and 16, just from the leases we have now, $300 million. That doesn't count all the taxes that all the people who are getting royalties, the farmers and everything, are going to be paying, all that new revenue, all the new equipment that's being bought, and all of the other areas that are going to see increase in sale. It's a huge amount of money. Right now, we have a difficult time beginning to separate the increased revenue from the wages and salaries, because this industry continues to grow. This is an economy, an industry, that's willing to help a huge section, or in a position to help a huge section, to fix itself. Now, it would show the jobs that are coming in through Marcellus. In 2008, we saw 9,252 jobs in the core industries, direct, that surround Marcellus. Those are the drillers, the welders, the people working directly in the industry. Directly in the industry. Last year, in the third quarter of last year, That number moved up to 17,838. Do you think that helped our unemployment problem in Pennsylvania? Absolutely. And that's important because we have an unemployment compensation fund that we have to repay to the federal government of about $3 billion, and I'm not even going to go into that one yet. More importantly, though, the average annual wage in the core business is $67,800. You multiply that by the number of jobs and figure out how much revenue those jobs are generating for all of us, because it is an industry that is growing. But we don't have to stop there and look at those numbers. We should be looking at the ancillary, the related businesses. You know, you throw the stone in the middle, the first ripple is the industry, every ripple thereafter are the industries that support one after another and after another. These are the various businesses like the truckers, the suppliers, the snack bars, the people up and down the line who will sell to or related to Marcellus because of that Marcellus wealth. There are 121,000 of them in 2008. Last year that number jumped by another 2,000. Their average annual wage is $64,823. That's a pretty good average annual wages. Because the average annual wage in all combined industries in the state, outside of Marcellus, every business we have is $44,418. Aren't we supposed to be generating jobs and wealth for our individuals? I think so. And between 2009 and 2010, that average wage for everybody else of $44,000 was the only number that was following. And as I'm giving this speech, the numbers are changing. I don't think we want to change that industry. We don't think we want to chase them. With the prices that we have to be ready to make sure that that industry stays here. And trust me, the other states are competing to get them to move their capital and move their equipment there. What we need to do, what you can do here in Lebanon County and in the other parts of the state, is develop markets for the gas. Because the more markets we have for the gas, the price will go up, won't it? You develop markets. For instance, maybe we start going to all the to all the convenience stores and saying, why don't you put in a natural gas pump? And why don't we get the fleet cars of the townships, of the school districts, of PennDOT, to convert over to natural gas so that there's a market. And you know what? That natural gas is A, cheaper to create than electricity for cars is. And it's clean. It's clean natural gas. So it's a win-win-win. But we need, from Harrisburg and locally, the will to help build our own market here. We can also export it. And we can find other uses. I'll tell you one thing. I'm having my Secretary of Corrections look at all the prisons in Pennsylvania that are in the Marcellus and say, can we do our own well? Can we power that way? Where do we save money? Where do we create a market? You can tell where I am on this one. A lot of people want to tax it. I don't believe we should. I believe we should grow an industry. Not for today, not for tomorrow, but for those children that are going to be in your chair 20, 25 years from now. That they have a state that's running on a balanced budget. That they have a state that doesn't spend more than the revenues coming in. That they have a state that they can leave to the next generation better than they found it. And I will tell you that is our obligation as elected officials to leave the state better than we found it, and I will do that because right now it's not in good shape. Thank you all very much. I'll be happy to answer your questions.